Hi, my name is Nairi and I'm an adopter of two boys, and one of our sons we've just taken out of school. It's been a long time coming, to be fair. He's a teenager and we thought about it many times, but he hasn't wanted to do it. But finally his mental health was so bad that we had to do it, and I don't think Tim and I are confident about home educating at all. But I thought I'd share a little bit of that first journey with you. So the first thing I think we had to decide is, are we going to have a curriculum based learning at home or not? And it was a not, because of the way that things have transpired at school. I think that they've pushed my son as hard as he can go when it comes to formal academic learning. So the only thing we put in place is a little touch of maths in the morning that my husband is trying to work out the levels for, and I'll explain that in a minute, and a little bit of journaling as far as my son is concerned about what he's done for that day. And that way at least we have a record, and my son is learning to recall what he's done for that day, because he's got an educational healthcare plan, which is like a special needs plan. So by writing and journaling, he has to remember what he's done for that day, and I think that's really good for him. I think my husband is trying to work out the levels he is for the maths, which is probably his most difficult subject. So that's the thing that I want to come to, is having taken him out of school, we don't know those levels. We've been told those levels and often thought, no. Honestly, we've thought he's not as high as what they're saying. Not that they've made it to be amazingly high, but I think we thought, we don't think so. And so one of the difficulties has been as a bit of a kerfuffle between my husband and son, when actually my husband thinks it might be the right level and it's not. And my husband will give him something to try and then come back and try and explain it. But, several times we've come down the levels. So that's been one of our issues, is just not knowing really where he's at. So that's something to consider, I guess. When we get his books home, it might help us. It might not, because I don't know how much he'd get done without one-to-one support, and he doesn't have continual one-to-one support at school, or he didn't have that. So, yeah. The other thing that we're noticing is trying to get the balance right between independent learning and guided learning. So both my sons, if they could have us by their side all the time, they definitely would, both of them. So this is the issue, isn't it, is that it's great to have them at home to build more of an attachment, because I definitely think our sons will always want that attachment building right into adulthood. It will always be there, that need. So being around him and having opportunity to talk has been amazing, but there still has to be an understanding from him that he does have to motivate himself. So this is the other thing. We're trying to give him things that he can do on his own. So he's really, really good at cooking and baking, and he's willing to give that a go. And that has a lot of incidental learning. I'm sure you understand the measuring and confidence building, looking at instructions, all of that is there, and then we get to eat it. Yes, my diet is not going very well right now. That's something he can do on his own. At the moment, he's out with my husband gardening. It's raining, so that's not going to last very long. And that's kind of more guided, but he's outside, so that's good. It's something different. And the measuring fencing, again, incidental learning. Then there's things that I give him to do, like going down to the shop to get certain things, which takes him out of the house. So being that he has a lot of anxiety, this is the other thing. So along with the independent and trying to be with us, what do we do about making sure he actually does stuff outside of the house, and not only without us, but actually takes him outside of the house. So when I have the beginning of the week, what I'm doing at the moment is I'm using a planner, which has got all the days of the week on, and then I'm looking at what types of things I want to cover, so independent skills, social skills, and how I'm going to do that roughly. So what have I got at my disposal? Are we going to go out to a cafe with one of my daughters, get some out of the house, send them up to get their drinks? Am I sending them down to the shop? What is he going to do on his own? So he's been and got his hair cut today on his own, taking the money. He's had to go out on his own. So it's having the opportunities, really, because they're not having the opportunities to socialise in the same way when they're at home. So it's having the opportunities and thinking about how I'm going to make that happen. So at the beginning of the week, I'm just writing out on the left hand side of the column, because there's a column in the planner I use, all my ideas, and then I'm sort of scattering it into the days roughly, and then every day I'm coming back to it and either making little comments, or if it didn't happen and we did something else, I'm putting that in a different colour so that I can see across the week, broadly speaking, has he done a little bit of maths? Has he done a little bit of journaling? Has he done a little bit of independence? Has he had some social skills? How's his well-being? Have we had chance to cover that? You get the picture. That's where I'm going with it. So it's totally non-schooling in a way, and it's just home education in a way that I think is tailored for him. As time goes on, it's getting that balance between stretching him, pushing him a little bit, looking at his well-being, how is he doing, pulling back if he's not doing very well. So, you know, if he falls out with my husband because he didn't get something right and he starts crashing down like he can do and panicking, it's pulling back from that. If I feel that perhaps he's looking to talk to me about something and I've needed to pull back because, you know, I need a bit of breathing space, or I think he does, but I'm getting the sense that conversations need to happen, making myself available. So it's just very, very a different way of life for him and for us, because my husband and I are retired. We're used to planning the days as we want to plan the days. So I would say that one of the key differences is having that awareness that that child is in the home. Even if he's doing something on his own, it's the awareness that he's there, and I need to keep a bit of an eye on him, you know, because I don't want him slipping into getting on his phone and gaming, slipping into just blobbing around. We're not allowing the phone during the day. I say this, I think he does get hold of it sometimes, but in the main, we're not allowing that. In the main, we're not allowing the telly during the day, so that when my other son comes back from school, it's been a fair playing field, because I don't want my other son thinking that it's just a free-for-all and, you know, his brother can just do all the things and fun things that he can't do while he's at school. And it's just learning to live with having that freedom there, having the freedom to do what you want when you want. So I wouldn't say that my boys are amazing without any structure. They might think they are, but they're not. They do need some structure. So I'm trying to put structure in the background without him necessarily knowing that that structure is there. If we try to make it too structured, that doesn't work. Like, for example, now it's raining and they're supposed to be doing like a couple of hours of this gardening and fencing. That might not work out, and that is a struggle, you know, because they don't like change. So he wouldn't like the fact that if we mapped out every hour in the day and he knew what that was, he would definitely try to keep to that. But then if that changed, that would throw him completely. So also at school, you know, you go in, you sit down, a teacher tells you this is what we're going to do, X, Y, Z. And having that level of structure to then being at home where there is nothing that you have to do. You know, then the most important thing for me is for him to be motivated to learn, for him to be able to understand that he's not doing the fencing with my husband because my husband really wants him to do the fencing. It's more that there's learning involved in that. There's measuring, there's cutting, there's being outdoors, there's just being in a different environment than stuck inside. And it's him getting his head around the fact that things happen in life for our enjoyment, and they happen for our learning, and they happen to push us and developing skills and moving on, and that you need to be motivated to want to do those things. So he is motivated in some areas. Like if you say to him cooking, he's absolutely, yes, I'll do that. But he needs to understand he can't really spend every day cooking. He could, but then he's only developing one skill area. And we don't think he's going to go into that as a career. He might do, but I think that will be very tough for him. So it's a hobby, and so therefore he is learning, but he can't do that every day, every moment of the day. So as you can see, it's a steep learning curve, and also we've had lots of phone calls. So we've had phone calls from people that are going to try to support him with his well-being. We've had to let the home education people know. We've been into school, had conversations. Well, shall we say, I built myself up for that, thinking it was going to be terrible. And to start with, I let my husband talk, and I could see what they were thinking. I knew what they were going to say. Is there any way that we can get him back into school? Is it the right decision? And I talked to my son in the morning, gone through absolutely everything with him again, and his answers were exactly the same. The pressure of the learning and the gap that he has is just too high, and it makes him feel like so down. So I could go in with confidence knowing that we had made the right decision. But when they finally found out some of the things that had been happening, which they should have been alerted to because they had a hint there, then they backed off completely. And then they looked really sad. And I thought, yes, I think you do need to look really sad, because actually not enough has been done for him. And now we need to take this into our own hands. So that meeting was not as bad as I thought. They did sort of mellow right down, and that wasn't what I expected. And everyone else that we've spoken to about the help that we need has been really supportive, albeit the GP was a bit of a fail. But anyway, that's the referral that we had to do has now happened for him, and we should get the support that he needs in other ways, you know, not just home ed. Because the fact that I know some people start home educating because that they want to do it out of principle, but obviously we've not done it for that reason. We've done it because he can't cope in school. So because of that, there are things that need to happen that have nothing to do with home educating. They're to do with him as a person, him now and in the future, how he's going to survive in the future. So a lot of what we're doing is also around that, and we have to take time out for that as well. So I hope that gives you a flavour of our journey so far. Every video I do will not be about home education, because you know, I've got lots of other ideas that you've given me on the live that I did for videos, and I'm going to be doing those in between some home education ones as well. So if you found that interesting, please subscribe, and I will see you on my next video on Fly Little Birds. Thank you.